The next person on the panel who's going to speak is Stewart Schwartz, who some of you are probably very familiar with. He's the founding executive director of the Coalition for Smarter Growth, a 17-year-old regional organization working to promote walkable, transit-oriented communities, as well as the policies and investments needed to ensure these communities thrive. The coalition offers a range of activities and programs aimed at where and how the Washington region will grow. Under Stewart's leadership, the CSG has grown to 6 staff and plays a key role in changing the debate about growth and transportation. Stewart.
Thank you very much. It's been a long time, I think, since I've done a presentation in Prince William County. I was around in 1997. I just started in this organization, Coalition for Smarter Growth, met Kim Hosen and others, and we worked on that comprehensive plan update in 1998. And I think, at the time, we knew that 1 house per 10 acres was not a permanent answer, and it was the best everybody could get, as you recall. But it was, we thought, helping us buy some time for a number of key policies to be put in place. Now, 15 years later, I'm very glad we're having this conversation, but I'm sorry it didn't happen 12 or 13 or 14 years ago. I think it has been happening on and off, and this group in particular has played a key role in that. I do sense a great opportunity, though, right now to address this and the importance of the rural Crescent. When Charlie and Kim talked to me about coming out tonight, I said, I'm not the rural strategy expert, and you will find those folks at Piedmont Environmental Council and in the neighboring counties, as Mr. Yankee was saying, in Loudoun and Fauquier and these other counties. And I think, and I would recommend up front, that you do a follow-on to this forum to dig to the next level deeper. I think we're going to have a great discussion tonight. I think we're going to start talking a lot about those policies. But with this rural Crescent study going on right now, now's the time to really dig deep into the most successful policies and funding approaches that these other jurisdictions have been using, and implement them as soon as you can in the next year or two, but certainly hopefully in the next year. But let me draw the big picture story for you of what's been happening in the greater Washington, D.C. region and across the country. You all know we've gone through a massive real estate bubble and collapse and a slow recovery from that. Well, apparently there are some significant global changes, demographic changes, that are going to be playing a role in our future. And that may have been one key shock, but that the world is different not just because of that shock, but because of some other changes. And the first is changing demographics. We have our 2 largest demographic cohorts are those retiring baby boomers and those young millennials, one of the echoes. And those are the 2 largest groups. And what they want to buy, where they want to live is really going to dictate where we're going to go in the future. And things are changing a lot. You certainly have probably heard about millennials and that young generation that loves cities, that's helped, with the rebirth of Washington, D.C., New York, San Francisco, you name it. They have been flocking to cities. They've been flocking to Arlington, any place with transit and bike share. These are the places they're going. And it's coffee shops, and it's anything you can do with a smartphone. D.C. has added 83,000 people in a decade. I mean, they're having Prince William and Loudoun-style growth rates. And it was because they were ready with good planning. They had the very successful metro system, and people rediscovered cities, especially young people. Even as they added 83,000 people, the number of registered drivers and vehicles was declining. These kids don't own cars. They don't want them. First of all, they got to pay off their student debt. Who needs a car payment? But they don't need one. And all the power to get around is in this. It's in your smartphone. And you've got apps. I've met a bunch of Iraqi veterans, war veterans, who put together a Ride Scout, an app where you can find out if the best way to get around to where your destination is going to be Metro, the DC Circulator, an Uber taxi that you contact on your phone, a bike share, a zip car. I mean, just tons and tons of different choices. So who needs a car and the cost? But it's happening too in more suburban communities. Certainly Arlington has always pioneered smart growth and walkable neighborhoods. But Alexandria, 200-plus-year-old smart growth, Old Town Manassas. People are rediscovering not just cities, but they're rediscovering towns and new places built to be mixed use and walkable places. It's happening with retiring baby boomers as well. I think the age of running to Florida is probably over, and that many people are looking, how can I stay close to the kids and the grandkids, but I don't have time to mow the yard and take care of this big house anymore. I'll hand it over to them, and I'm going to go move into a walkable town and where I don't have any maintenance, and I might have an apartment or a condo or a smaller house, one-level house or something like that. But that is changing where and how people live. Collectively, everybody's driving less, and I think it's because of these two cohorts, but just in general, gas prices, other changes, the internet, so vehicle miles traveled have been dropping as well. We're seeing fewer of the really super long commutes. People are tired of those. And these are significant changes that I think Prince William has to be very much aware of. You know, what are people looking for overall? And that's where this, I think, the rural Crescent is so important. I mean, people obviously want a great quality of life. They want to have a sense of place and a connection with others. They want nearby recreation and outdoor experiences. I mean, there's a reason why we all go to national parks for vacations or our state parks and why they're so successful. And I guess just this week they reported that tourism to our national parks in Virginia generated over $1 billion a year to the state. That people spending on everything, food and lodging and everything else that comes with it. So there is great value in rural preservation and parks. So I think collectively, and my main theme here is that people are looking for great places, places with a real sense of connection and community, often places with walkability, the small towns and so forth, and places with good rural access to farms, forests, outdoor recreation, and so forth. There's another trend I think you should think about, and that goes to the way regional planning has been happening in the Washington, D.C. region. Region Forward is our new vision for how we're going to grow. It's passed in 2010, and all 21 jurisdictions in the Council of Governments regions signed on to it, including Prince William County and Manassas Park. And really at its core is a vision of walkable neighborhoods, mixed use, and transit accessible, having transit connections to as many core communities as we can get. And they have an activity center plan that matches that, a regional transportation priorities plan that goes with it, and a transportation land use connections program that goes with it. Prince William has helped identify these activity centers for themselves. I think they include North Woodbridge and the Potomac Mills area, certainly the city of Manassas itself, innovation, certain places that will be clusters of activity where we're going to try to focus growth in the future. So that's the direction we're going. It's also the direction the real estate market has been going. Every developer now wants to do mixed-use development. I don't know if we have enough capacity market for all of it, but they've at least recognized the importance of it. Your rural Crescent is important to you for so many reasons. I mentioned the recreational and the outdoor and the attracting of employers and employees. I should emphasize that a little bit more. Companies are going where there's great outdoor recreation, parks and green spaces. I was just looking at a Trust for Public Land video yesterday, and Volkswagen with a few thousand jobs came to Chattanooga, Tennessee because of all the green things Chattanooga was doing, all the riverfront parks and all the things that they were doing. They had 400 city communities in America competed for that Volkswagen plant, and I went to Chattanooga for the green. Cost of sprawl, I won't get into that much detail, but we know that spread out development, the more we spread out, the more it costs to provide infrastructure. That's what's gotten a lot of jurisdictions in trouble over the years. There's been a lot talked about that over the years in Prince William and other counties, whereas compact development is much more efficient for your tax base. There have been a number of more recent studies in Nashville and Sarasota, Florida, showing the benefits of more compact development for your tax base. But looking to the other thing I'll talk about briefly is water quality, water supply, especially in an era of climate change and weird precipitation and drought sequences that we go through. We're going to need to protect the watershed and the recharge areas for the Occoquan and for the Potomac, for our water supplies. That's another natural benefit you get from having a protected rural crescent. And certainly under Virginia law, protecting the public and health and welfare in terms of protecting the water supply gives you good justification for keeping and strengthening your rural crescent. In terms of, I won't get into the conservation strategies right now because I think we can do that, a lot of that in discussion. But I will say that if I look at the economic future and the competitiveness of Prince William, in an era of internet shopping affecting retail, office space downsizing because of internet and telecommuting and shared office spaces, what are your competitive advantages? What are they going to be? And I think it starts from your green advantages. I know Kim's been talking to us about this for years, but you still have significant areas of connected green space in rural areas, place you can have a rural economy, place where you can have outdoor recreation. If you're trying to attract the best and brightest and the next companies, the next generation companies, you've got to have these places and you've got to connect them and use them, because I think that's what's going to get you great employees. You're going to save money on your tax base when you do it. That's one piece of it, and the other piece is creating great places where people want to be. So I'll stop there. When we come back to discussion, if we haven't covered enough on in depth on rural strategies, protection strategies, we'll get into that then. Thank you.